What I love about paddle tails or boot tails is they catch everything. It's a great multi-species plastic, but it's a great starter plastic for walleyes. You know, you can catch walleyes all season long on these baits, but they're a real confidence booster. If you've never fished plastics for walleyes, if you tie on a paddle tail or a boot tail, you're gonna get comfortable with this bait real quickly because you're gonna put fish in the boat. But rigging is always key. You know, when I rig up these baits, regardless of plastic, regardless of species, you want to make sure you're rigging these properly. You want the bait to be presented right. You want it to be hooked dead center and then come out of the body dead center. If you're off to one side or the other, oftentimes what happens is that boot tail comes up and it spins down. You're not getting the proper presentation out of the bait. So coming just dead center of this bait, making sure you're rigging it dead center, and then feeding that shank of that hook dead center, and then popping it out right in the middle of the plastic is going to be key. Okay, and it's completely in line. You're not popping out on one side or the other, and it's coming right down the middle of that plastic. That's really a key feature to having that bait do exactly what it's supposed to, and that's hop and fall, not a roll or a spin. Okay, I'm going to change up my cadence just a little bit. It's dead flat calm. I'm going to fish a little bit more aggressive with this bait. But again, allowing it to sit on the bottom is going to be key. I'm fishing it faster as far as my cadence and my jigging, but nonetheless, I'm still letting it lay on the bottom. Those fish love to pick up baits off the bottom. So when I'm fishing these paddle tails, I like a nice rip in the air. And when I'm ripping it, it's straight up in the air, okay? And then letting it fall. I'm watching my braid until it hits the bottom and then ripping it straight up in the air. With that paddle tail, you want it to rise and fall. If you're jigging off to the side like this, that bait's just bouncing along the bottom. Whereas if I'm ripping it up in the air, it's that nice slow fall to the bottom. It's a nice flutter down to the bottom. That boot tail will slow that bait down and it just lays perfectly on the bottom. Oh, there's one right there on the paddle tail. Laying on the bottom right next to the boat. These fish follow and follow and follow. I guarantee this thing followed it down the break, and as it laid on the bottom, it picked it up. Just hoist this guy in here. Nice fish. Oh, look at that. What's cool about having that longer shank and what makes it so effective is that shank is longer, so you get a little more bite on the bait. So if you have those fish that come up and they're grabbing it mid-bait, just start adding a little bit longer hook shank to your presentation. You're gonna kind of eliminate those short biters, if you will. What I like about plastics though is when you're ripping them and jigging them back to the boat, a lot of times if you're jigging it aggressively like that, they're gonna strike it, right? So if you're getting a lot of short biters on live bait, a lot of times I'll switch to plastics just because they're coming up and short biting that live bait. If I work that plastic a little bit quicker, it's kind of that reactionary strike, so they're gonna inhale that bait. Get this guy back in the water. After every fish catch with the plastic, I just make sure that my bait's aligned. You know, it's not sliding down the shank of that hook, you know, preventing any of that twirling. And also make sure that side to side that it didn't get ripped out. You know, a lot of times when you're fighting a fish or when it strikes, it'll rip that plastic a little bit. You wanna make sure that there's no tear in your plastic, and so you're good to go on the next cast. There's one. We were shooting underwaters and I watched this bass just chase, and I just momentarily set on the bottom and then just popped twice and he just inhaled it. Oh, nice smallmouth. Oh, beautiful part about fishing a swim bait is it catches everything, regardless of species. You know, if somebody said you could only take one plastic out, especially in the spring, bar none, a paddle tail. Just so much fun to fish. Look at that, that's a 5-pound fish right there.